Good evening. So measure what matters. I just wanted to share that topic with you more from a point of view. We are hearing Indian mutual fund industry growing leaps and bounds. What's in it for us? As in we are here today to enhance our values. A lot of people have been sitting through the day and a lot of eminent speakers have given their views in terms of what can happen to the industry, what we can do for ourselves. I just heard Anup Bhaiya talk about what he does in the business. I think those are very insightful things. But a lot of time we kind of look around and think about what's going to happen to the market, what's going to be the competition which will be there in the market, what will happen to the direct plan, so on and so forth. It's important to keep a track on that, but I think it's more important to focus on what matters for us the most. And when I say us, as a distribution partner of an asset management company, I'm talking about people in this room who have been a strong supporter of the mutual fund industry. So when we talk about what matters, then what gets measured gets managed, in my opinion. So whenever we have something which we want to do, unless we put a measurement to it, a quantifiable number to it, nothing is going to move in that direction. We can believe that we can become the largest. Unless we put a plan to it, it's not going to happen. So what are the OKRs which we need to do while we talk about measuring what matters? First, have the objectives in mind for ourselves, and then focus on the key result areas once we've set our objectives. This may sound a bit theoretical, but let me just get a bit deeper into it. So what objectives are? Let's set ourselves certain goals, and those goals should be inspirational to us. As in setting goals which we can achieve, I think they are not the real goals which we are really talking about. The goals which we are really talking about, the ones which can inspire ourselves and the world. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the presentation, which I would like each one of you all to aspire for. To get to those goals, there are key activities which we would set ourselves, and then measure each of those activities in terms of success or failures. If we follow this, does it mean that we will be successful each point in time? I don't think so. But what it at least does is that it sets a guiding principle for us as an organization. And if we want to really make it big, setting these guidelines are very, very important. I may be repeating myself, but I can't state less. So let me just talk about the OKRs in a bit more detail. First, less is more in this case, which means that if you set ourselves objectives, which are only 2 or 3, rather than having 10 objectives in life, then it's better for us, because then it's measurable in each of those cases. Use a bottom-up approach. We as asset managers call ourselves as the bottom-up fund house, where we kind of research the fund. It's not that bottom-up. The bottom-up approach here is that while we are talking about the objective, I think including everybody in the organization, starting from the lowest level, to set our goals or objectives will be a better way to do it, rather than being a top-down piece. Dare to fail. I think many a times we are really scared of failures, and hence we set ourselves objectives which are easy to achieve. So, for example, if you are today at 100 rupees a day as mobilization, we set ourselves a target of saying I'll do 110, whereas we very well know that our dream actually should be 200 or 300. But because we are scared of failures, we end up setting goals which are more realistic in our mind, but it's important to set aspirational targets, because even if you were to fail, as people say, if you aim for the stars, even if you fail, the chances that you land on the moon. I think we have to kind of focus on the larger picture rather than trying to succeed in the smaller things which we do. As I said, OKR is not necessarily a 100% foolproof suggestion. Many a times when we take on things, we will fail, but we need to be patient. If we fail, or we are kind of measuring ourselves and at the end realize that there are few things which we have done are not progressing in the right direction, obviously we got to take corrective actions on that as well. And hence, tracking the progress at every step becomes a very critical part of our journey. Continuing on the piece, I'm just breaking down the three parts in more practical terms. So when we talk about objectives for ourselves, what are we talking about? We are in business of making money for the customer and also for ourselves, right? How many people believe that we are in this business for a benevolent reason? That we are here not to make money for ourselves, but make money for our customers only? I'm assuming we are there for making money for ourselves or for the customers only? Both? Both? Yeah, so objective for us is obviously to increase revenue as well, because at the end of the day, that's what keeps us going. It's not a charitable business. I don't think we are in a charitable business. It's a noble business. We are doing good for our customers. It's like something like a doctor, where a doctor charges a fee to us to improve our health. They are not saying that I'm improving your health and I'm doing that for the good for the society. If they were to do that, they will not survive, nor will their family. So we are in a business of making money for our customers, at the same time wanting to make money for ourselves. So while we set ourselves as an objective, and this is just a number taken, that if you were to say, I want to increase my income by 10x from where I am today, and it not necessarily be the timeline is tomorrow, but if this was the case, then what does the key activities involve of the objective, the key activities and the result part? The key activities then would be the to-do list. NCA, which is how many new customers should acquire, what are the kind of ways I can reach to my customers, whether it's digital campaigns, so on and so forth. How do I increase my SIP book? How much should I increase my SIP book? And all that becomes part of our key activities, which we will do. And then we measure each of these activities so that we know that we are progressing in the right direction. So taking the first activity as new customers added. Oh, I added 50,000 customers. I grew my SIP book by 20 crores, so on and so forth. So when you break up your business on a day-to-day basis, these are the three areas which we need to focus and reassess. Now, what would happen is, while we are talking about the OKRs, there would be failures at every stage, which means that let's assume we set ourselves that we will have 50,000 NCAs added through the digital medium or whatever be the medium which we are talking about. It ended up being that the digital campaign which we were running didn't succeed at all. Obviously, while we are measuring the progress, we go look at ourselves and see if these measures or these actions which we are taking, what of it is not working for us. And when we make that as a list, surely we will improve on it and then move forward. As I said, failures are going to be part of our journey, but unless we have our objective in mind and the key activities listed down, there is no way we will get to that objective. Many a times it happens, business is by default. So today we talk about the mutual fund industry, SIP being at 19,000 crores. Some may say it's a lucky win from a mutual fund industry. I would say it's the hard work and dedication put in by people in this room and a lot of people outside this room, because SIP is one bit which as an industry on both sides, as the manufacturer and the distributor, have been talking about for the last 25 years. It's never stopped. We didn't move from one to the other. The objective for us to get customers in through SIP was always there. Has it been a smooth ride to move from 300 crore SIP book to 18,000 SIP? It has not been. And we all know how the journey has been. And that's pretty much been highlighted here. If we were to do this in our business, I'm fairly confident from a reassessment perspective, each one of you all would succeed where we would like to be. I gave the theoretical part of the business, and I hail from a region in the country where money is a very critical part of our life. So I come from a state called Gujarat, where the benchmarking for everybody's success is more to do with money. And hence, typically I think in terms of money. It may be for some people in this room, it may not be from some people in this room, but I do think this is something which we should ponder upon. We talk about the growth of the mutual fund industry in the last 10 years have been phenomenal. I'm hoping that this industry will grow. The money multiplier is going to continue to happen for all your customers and many more customers to come into this industry. How would you benefit out of it as a businessman is something which I've tried to put in here. I'm setting an objective for you all Whether you would like to take it or not is your choice. But I do think this objective is achievable. So objective is that can each one of you all make 10 crores per year as an income for yourself? Is that an exciting number, not an exciting number? Exciting? So let's see if we can do so. So I've taken some assumptions. Obviously, just like the previous panel, the fund manager said that we are not here in a business of giving predictions, but we can have assumptions. So there are some assumptions here. I'm assuming that the current AUM for the person whom I'm talking about is going to earn 10 crores a year is at 50 crore. The duration is not too long. It's like 15 years. As in the last 15 years, time has flown by. I'm quite sure the next 15 will also. And this doesn't end at 15. As in the beauty of your business is that you can continue for eternity. The rate of return assumed is 15%. You can take a lower return or higher return. If you believe that you are a smarter investor, surely this return can be higher. If you believe that you want to look at a lower return for your customers, that also. But I've taken a 15%, which is not a bad return to expect. All you need is a monthly net sale of 1 crore of rupees. Whether that comes through an SIP or lump sum, as long as you are able to generate 1 crore, I can assure you in the 15 year, every year you will take 10 crore rupees as an income, because you will be at 1000 crore AUM by the time the 15 years are completed if you were to be at 50 crores today. And that opportunity definitely lies in India, because for you to get to a 1 crore net number, surely there are certain amount of redemptions. But if you have a SIP book, which you built to 50, 60 lakhs of rupees, all you need to do as an incremental 50, 60 lakhs of rupees. At a 1% of income on the asset translates to 10 crores of rupees. And I do think this is something, if you were to focus on as an objective, would help you build your business and get to that 10 crore mark. So with that, thank you very much for your patient hearing.